part. Shelter of cows. Shelter of cows. These are the same thing we saw today. So we are going ahead. So we can read this slok again because we have read this before, previous days also. How Krishna provides. Now we can relate. We should try to relate this verse with ecosystem, because now we have understood the ecosystem processes. And now what this sloka speaks about. And this chapter is also titled Ideal Life. 7th canto, 14th chapter. The title is Ideal Life. In that 7th verse is this, where Krishna says that the natural produce created by Supreme Personality of Godhead should be utilized to maintain the body and soul of all living entities. The emphasis here is on natural produce, number one. Number two, that natural produce should be for maintaining the body and soul together. This is what we keep hearing from Srila Prabhupada also, that we should just endeavor enough to maintain the body and soul together. And most importantly, these produce are created by the Supreme Personality, not by anybody else. So now the ecosystem, what we heard, is the second line. How Krishna does that? How Krishna is creating food for all species. The necessities of life are of three types, those produced from the sky. So we can connect, sky means also solar energy flow and water cycle. From the rainfall. The sloka right in the bracket, from rainfall. From the earth, from the mines, seas, or the fields. So from the fields, we can talk about mineral cycle and community dynamics. These both are covered in that. Because when the water cycle and solar energy flow is functional, the other two has to just follow. Mineral cycle and yeah. So, and there are many verses like this in other scriptures also. But to relate it to the ecosystem is what we are trying to understand. So ecosystem is not some new science which somebody has found out, but we have just understood it now. It was always functioning like that. What is holding our operations back? Sunlight. Are we wasting our share of sunlight that falls on our land? So this is what, as a community, we should be discussing. Are we wasting our share of sunlight that is falling on our land? If the answer is yes, then the project is losing. Is it falling directly on our land? It should never fall directly on the land. Either it should be on the living root, or we have to cover the soil. It should be falling on the dry matter. Does our share of rain run away from our land? Is the rainfall effective? Is the rain falling directly on our landscape? Fertility. Are we buying fertility? Are we displacing the biomass from where it is grown? So are we exporting or importing? Basically, both are going to be challenged because you need more financial support to do that. Are we growing to feed all the species living on our farm? So any decision to remove any species, that means we don't want to feed them. So Krishna conscious Pandita Samadarshina, we have to be managing in a fashion that we allow all lifespan perform their functions for the Lord. Do not export fertility. This we have seen before, yesterday in mineral cycle also. This was also there. Unplanned grazing. How can fixed farm, like nature made it, keeps cover, living root grazing to help rebuild soil resiliency and add carbon. Stocking rate, stocking density we discussed today. We can see it again. So stocking density is what we will see now. Stocking rate we have discussed. Stocking density is, it is a number of cows or the total weight of cows at a particular area of your farm during a short period of time. So it is about the herd impact now, the animal impact. How are you planning to move them in your landscape? That is stocking density. Stocking rate we discussed in the first session. So stocking density, we will take an example of that. This is a little difficult, but we'll try to understand this. Stocking density drives the behavior of cows. So there are three things explained in this. First, we will take last point, that is kraal in cropland. So today we will have to start with this because we don't have grazing land today. When we start the project, the soil doesn't have enough grass grown, so we can't start that immediately. So this is what we can start with. This is how people have started in other projects with kraaling the cows. Kraaling is restricting them in an area and feeding them there instead of feeding in some confined area, bringing them on the soil and feeding them there. So we purchase, even though we are purchasing the grass, because we have cows and land both now. So we are adopting to this system today, kraaling the cows. If somebody doesn't have cows, he's just starting a new project, then he decides to buy the land and then he can invite appropriate number of cows. But our scenario is different. So as per our scenario, if we think, then we have to start with kraaling in the crop on the lands. Kraaling means, for example, this is the area. So we will bring fodder here, drinking water facility will create here, and the cows will be here eating, but mimicking grazing. So we'll put grass on the land. So we'll be trying to mimic the system. So they will eat half of it, leave the remaining, and try to ensure that the soil is covered. That is our job today. So dung will fall, urine will fall there. At least we are free from the cleaning part if you do that. And the urine, where the urine is totally wasted in our current scenario, at least the entire urine will go on the soil. So that change will bring. So what kraaling will do to the land, that we'll understand. For example, taking our original thing, we have 10 acres of land and 6 cows, assuming the 90-day growth period. Continuing from there, we are coming to stocking density now. So 6 cows, each cow is having 400 kg weight. Focus on the last line. So 6 multiply 400 is 2400, right? Now, because there is no grazing available, so we are not giving them 75 square meter per cow because there is nothing to graze. We are limiting their movement and we are assuming 5 square meter for every 12 hours. Every 12 hours, we have to give them a fresh plot of 5 square meter per cow. So because we have 6 cows, 6 multiplied by 5 makes it 30. So 30 square meter, it is 30 meters by 30 square meter area will give to the cows. We'll put the grass for them to eat for 12 hours. As we understand now, the cow weight is 400 kg. So we have to give them 2 to 3% dry matter of their body weight, which is 10 to 15% of their body weight. So that comes to 40 to 60 kg of grass, green fodder if we are giving. So that if for 12 hours, you have to make it half because another 12 hours will give them another grass. So accordingly, you will calculate and feed them on that plot. So they will eat half and leave half to remain the soil covered. So this is the kraaling system. But in this, you get heavy impact. How we are calculating impact here is stocking density per acre. Assume that you have 800 cows and you are giving 5 in your kraaling mechanism. 800 multiplied by 5 is 4,000 square meter. That equals to 1 acre. That equals to 1 acre. So we are just doing that. 800 cows multiplied by 400 kg per cow makes 320 tons of weight. So the impact, the land gas is 320 tons when you kraal on 30 square meter, 6 cows. Just on 30 square meter, you are impacting 6 cows body weight. So that will easily break up the soil. So there is no need of other system. But because in general, people leave the cows for preferential grazing. So on the 10-acre land, if 6 cows are roaming here and there, the impact that is required to start the regeneration process is not received. So the kraaling process helps us to kickstart the regenerative process. Because today the landscapes are degraded, nothing is going on it. We know that. So we have to start with this. That is first situation. Now we go to case number 1. First one, The purpose is continuous grazing, what we see today. The cows are left free. So on the 10-acre land, same example, 6 cows, 2400 kg of weight. Now the land area available is 4000 square meter multiplied by 10 for 10 acres. So 1 acre is 4000 square meter. So 10 acre is 40,000 square meter. That is totally available because we are not restricting their movement. So 40,000 square meter year round available. They keep going, they keep coming. That is the no restriction of any kind. So the impact is only 0.6 cow, that is 240 kg per acre at any given point. Like here we calculated on 30, there are the impact is 2400 kg. So the overall impact comes of 320 tons on the entire acreage of land. So in this case, it will reduce because on 1.7 acre of land, only one cow is moving. So if we divide 400 by 1.7, it will come to 240 kg. This is how it is. So that is what we want to stop. This is what has degraded the soil. And in center is plant grazing. This is where we want to evolve to. So we are on number 1, and to rectify it, we start with number 3 situation, crawling, so that we reach to number 2, which is again 6 cows, 2400 kg is the weight of total 6 cows, 400 by 6, and now giving 75 square meter per cow for grazing for one full day, 24 hours. And 75 by 6 cows is 450 square meter. So the impact we get is 21 tons, and this is planned grazing. So we keep rotating every day, 450 square meters allocated, next day, plot number 2, plot number 3, plot number 4, and they come on the plot number 1 after the grass has fully grown, so that the overgrazing doesn't happen. So this is stocking density. This is very, very important. So they should be moving in a herd. We can't let them free. Otherwise, the regeneration won't happen. Degeneration will happen. This is what we have seen. So one point in time, it was concluded that the soils have desertified because the animals are moving on it. So they try to kill the animals, remove the animals. This is how we see that nobody allow cows on the soil, because that paradigm is created now. That if they will go, they will desertify. They will spoil the crop. They will spoil the land. So nobody allows that. But the speed of degradation intensified after they started removing the animals. So now, after, that means last 40, 50 years, they have corrected. Many farmers follow this system now. I heard in one of the seminars that 5% of the farmers globally adopt this system of farming now with the cows, moving the cows and regenerating the soils, following the ecosystem processes. So it's catching up. A lot of people are learning this. So natural height is short time grazing. So they're building soil, young and urine, moving and moving. So this is a continuous process. So they're eating, and the herd from behind will keep pulling. They will not get into overgraze. These are the, but now we don't have this option because we are on a situation. But this is a situation where enough land is there, just a number of there, and ecosystems are, and we are moving them. But this is how it used to be in Vrindavan. Stocking density decides the impact. So when the stocking density is correct, we get a proper impact. Pruning of the grass. When they are moving, they prune the grass. They are not uprooting. They will only prune it. Mulching of the soil. The remaining grass, they will skip, like they all won't be standing. Some they will trample on standing them. It will fall down. Not such activity will happen on their own. Lays dead plant material on soil as cover and mulch. Number 3, seeding. So as we were discussing before we bring the cows, we should throw our seeds. So whatever seeds we throw, they will bury the seeds and them down. 100% utilization of dung and urine is manure because they are moving on the land, urine falls on the soil. Water infiltration breaks hard soil surface to allow watering. This you already spoke, that water infiltrates better because they are leaving roots, and The hard surface is broken also. And lastly, feeding of cows. So we don't have to feed the cows. They are self-feeders. They can move and eat. They know what to eat, what not to eat. And it goes on like that. So these are different examples of how, so continuous grazing is the worst, which is on the first. Then they divide the plot into two parts. 6 months they graze on one plot, 6 on the other. That is also not good. Basically, we have to increase the rest period for the regrowth. That is the principle. Now we have to decide that how many plots we need depending on the group. But principle is, till time the grass is fully grown, we cannot bring the cows back. Otherwise, we are losing on the production. This we already saw. If cows remain in any one place for too long, or if they return to it before plants are recovered, they overgraze the plants. Same thing. These are the principles we saw beginning also. Okay. So now we come to the main topic of this session, habitat for cows. As cows are domesticated animals, we have to mimic their habitat to get the best out of their functions. Habitat means the natural home or environment of an animal, plant, or organism. A person's usual or preferred surroundings. Fortunately, the habitat for cows and all the other species in the farm are the same. So it's not that it's different. The habitat is same for all. Only by keeping all the inhabitants of the farm in their habitat can the project be economically viable, so without affecting the 4 ecosystem processes in tune with spiritual values favoring the functions of the cows. In a holistically managed farm, trees shall provide shade, deep roots, and leaf mulch. Grasses shall pump carbon down into the soil as well as feed the livestock. Crops shall feed us. Our resources are sunlight, rain, air, and cows, and other livestock too, and us, human, man. We are harvesting sunlight, rain, air, dung, and urine. No purchased resources or importing of resources. No irrigated cropping, cropping with effective rainfall. So this is holistically managed farm. We have discussed all these points last 3 days. So now when we start a project, step 1 is to decide the stocking rate, which we discussed today. So we should evolve to a stocking rate for our project too, depending on the recovery period and the rainfall we see here. Step 2 is seeding multi-species trees. So we have to study the local trees which can adapt to the local climate and can grow naturally without any stress. Because if we import some species which is not local to this land, a lot of stress for the species. We need to do that study and can try to plant them at a 40 feet distance or a 12-meter spacing. Initially, when we move here, the trees shall be protected from livestock because we are moving the cows on the land. It needs some protection. We are mimicking the nature. We are not going 100% natural. If we go 100% natural, we don't plant trees. Trees will come on its own. So, but we are right now we are mimicking it, and so we will do this, and we will see more trees will grow on their own also. But to begin, this can be the step 2. This is just one suggested method. This is not anything from the Shastra that it has to be followed for all projects. But this is like when generally we see the soils are uncovered, there are no trees on it. So we need some trees for shade. So we can put all over the property local trees. And most important, they should be seeded, not the saplings. Generally, they bring the saplings and put it, but they don't survive good. Seedlings are good. Plant in nests. So how to plant the seeds? So we should nicely and then put the seed. There is a Mexican road. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. So there is no need to, dig and finish. So that never comes out. See, in the nature, you can see in the photo behind the words that the natural mulch is there and new seedlings are growing already. But these are all paradigms. This is how we have seen all these years. That otherwise it will not grow. But it grows. Step 3. So what was step 1? Stocking rate. And second step was trees, and then how to plant the seeds. These things are covered. Third is 50% of the land shall be cropped seasonally. So we may take a decision to have 50% crop land and 50% grazing land, or 40, 60, 30, 70, whatever can be the ratio. Here it is suggested 50%. So during the growing season, because here we have a growing season when there is rainfall, that is called to be the growing season. During the growing season, 50% of the land can be used for cropping annuals. So our annual requirements can be grown on that 50% of the land. The crop residue thus generated. So now we will see we have planted wheat and mustard. So after we harvest this, then the residue, so the crop residue thus generated shall be fed to the cows during the non-growing season. So after the rainfall, non-growing season, then we should bring the cows there, not that we cut it from the root and use machineries and then feed the cows in the stall. We should stop that, at least for this season now, but because we will be moving here soon. So this is what we should follow. Crops in between also we can grow. Even when we go back today, we can see under every tree things have grown well. It's just an understanding that, and this was preached because if there are trees on the land, how will you move your tractor? So these concepts are created to support the industrial things. Just imagine if there are trees all over, how will the tractor move? It's not possible. So it was preached that under the tree nothing will grow, and gradually they try to cut the trees, and now we see lands are all without trees. There are no trees on the land. But wherever you will find a tree on any property, you will see underneath it, like when we go back, there is a wheat field on the right side, and under the tree, things are growing very nicely. Till very near to the root of the tree. It's not that it's not growing. So we can do plantation between the trees, not that our land will be wasted because we are putting trees. Then, as we discussed, the crop residue shall be fed to the cows. So we should bring the cows when the residue is there, they should eat it there, put dung, urine, and the crop is ready for our next crop. The soil is ready for the next crop. This is crawling. This is how we confine the cows. They stay like 12 hours in one place, and then we move them to another place for the 12 hours. This is like the density looks too high here. We will feel that this is too much, but right now to regenerate the soil, we need good impact and good dung and urine on the place. So it is important to do this. We can even reduce it to 6 hours if we want. 6 hours we can change, but this is just suggested 12 hours. It can be 6 hours also. On the land, yes. Yes. Plot number 2, yes. Next plot. Once this is done, then we create another area for them, put grass and water there, and then they move there. So they don't have to sit in their dung, because this will be full of dung after 12 hours. So we have to give them a clean place. So, I mean, we have to decide when we will observe, we will learn whether it is required in less time or not. This observation time can vary. So no thumb rules. We are just discussing a broad principle. Anyways, I lost this video somehow. These are videos how we were crawling, how we were feeding, and how the land was looking after grazing. See, this is what becomes after the crawl. So you can see there is a lot of grass left on the land. So the soil is covered. So this is how we should put. Not that If they can eat 2 kilo, you are putting 2 kilo, then there will be nothing left on the soil. So if they can eat 2, we have to put 4. So the remaining 2 is feeding the soil. But general paradigm says you are wasting the grass. When we start doing it, you will hear this from people. You are wasting the grass. You are wasting. The cows are not eating. You are feeding them more. They can't eat. Why you are feeding? You are feeding the soil. That paradigm has to come in now. There is a lot of life in the soil, and we are feeding them. And then dung and urine falls on that, and it is safe. And see, it is symmetrically spreaded because they don't like to sit. They are so clean and in the mode of goodness, cows, that they will not like to step on or sit on the dung. They will generally find a clean place. So every time they put dung, they will go to a newer place and do it. So it will be nicely spreaded on the land. You don't have to do much to spread it. Today we collect it and then bring it on the farm, and then you have to spread it. It's a huge work to do it. And then in a rapidly recycled by dung beetles, earth formed and other soil biota. So when the dung falls, the recycling starts and the soil development starts. They bring the soil from down, put it on the top, take the dung down. This will happen on its own. And dung will disappear in some days. Dung pad to mud pad. So dung will be gone and you see mud only there. Then a lot of holes will be there, taking to various depths. Step 4. So this was step 3. What was step 3? Crawling and feeding the crop residue, all those things were there in there. 50% for us. This is remaining 50% of land shall be used for plant grazing. So 50% for cropland, 50% for grazing. But trees are all 100% land. You have to put trees on all the land, on cropland, also on the grazing land. And trees has to be local trees. That is the only thing we are suggesting in this. So grazing with electric fence in between fruit trees and in croplands. This is how people are doing it with electric fence. But if we have grazers to take care of the cows, that is best. So mostly people do with electric fence because nobody likes to stay with the cows 24 hours. So as she was suggesting that the cows will move if there is nobody there. But if there is somebody sleeping with them, they won't go anywhere. They like to be with us. They like to be with humans. So if humans are there, they will just follow us. They follow the command. Yesterday I was discussing with one devotee, Govind Sham, and they were moving the cows from one land to another land. And they were walking in straight line, like for 1 kilometer. Nobody was running here and there. They are so obedient. Even on their land, they sleep at night with the cows. Even when the temperature was 0 degrees, there was somebody sleeping with them. So they feel peaceful.
And then trees and birds with sheep and goat, and then horns of sheep, and they was
Sorry?
there were wagons, national park, and here you see that women can stay with them or
Here there is no rule like that in India.
because you said because my body is the friend.
Yeah. So there is no thumb rule. We are just discussing a principle that ideally this is how it should be. Like in Gujarat, we have seen that they go to the cows in the forest, deep forest, and sometimes they stay there. So the way of living is the cowherd will sleep in center and cows will surround him. So the wild animals cannot attack him. So they take care of the cowherd person. This is how they are. So, but if we stay with them, then this technology is not required. But if we cannot, then there has to be some system to mimic the system. So some make like fence with bamboos and they keep moving them every day. Some are using electric fans, some are using metal fans, different things. The methods can be many, as we were discussing yesterday. But the principle is to keep moving them so that there is grazing land. There is, yes.
But it's traditionally the man that will be there, and the man that is the man will be that or
It depends. As I said, who is taking care, who is taking care, woman is taking care, or a child is taking care. It is all depending on the detailing part. So, but the principle is that there should be somebody with the cows. That is the principle.
And the government will be more the person that there are some and sometimes
Yeah, I understand. So what I request is these details can be discussed, but point I am trying to make is principle. When you are with the cows, you can chant your rounds, you can hear the class, you can read the books, because we don't have to do anything in that. They just want our presence. If we are present with them, they are peaceful. And we are also peaceful. And then we can do our activities. You can chant your rounds, you can read your books, you can hear your classes. Whatever. I mean, what we have to do, they are eating grass, we are just watching them. This is again that same video which we saw, that the bulls are moving, so we are skipping that now. Yeah. So throwing away into waste the cow dung and cow urine disfigures the society. This is from Atharva Ved. So we have to understand the disfigurement. And then there is also saying that in the dung resides Lakshmi Devi, right? Have we heard this? So what is the disfigurement spoken about? The disfigurement is the elephant we were describing in the beginning. Because we didn't utilize dung and urine, rather the cows on the soil, we have disconnected the cow from the land. The disfigurement happened in this way. We are facing all these challenges. This is a disfigurement of the society. All the problems we see today are just because of this, disconnecting the cows from the land. It is very, very important to connect them back. Very, very important.
What's the word used in Sanskrit for disfigure?
You have to see in this talk. Aprupam, tato aprupam. Second line.
A krupam? Is that what you said?
Second line. Second line of the sloka. Tato aprupam. Aparupam. I think that is what it means, disfigurement. I am not good at Sanskrit though, but I'm just trying to understand. Dung may be precious to us, but is stool to the cow. So generally cows are staying in a situation where they are smeared with their own stool. So it is very stressful for them, very stressful. There are slokas which says that in Parashar Smriti, I don't have it here to show, but I read it, which says that a cow is happy. It describes two cases: a cow which is only fed 50%, and a cow which is fed 100%, but has to live in an environment where there is dung and urine around her. So the one who is fed 50% is more happy. So the point I'm trying to bring is only food is not important. It's about the overall environment, the lifestyle which every species gets is more important. So in current system, the lifestyle is worst. Bulls should be housed outdoors in the night to ensure better utilization of dung and urine, and also to prevent fly breeding sites in stored dung. So where the dung is stored, there are a lot of flies around there. So once they are out on the field, we were managing our 230 cows in our farm, and there was no smell of dung and urine ever. And we are feeding 10 tons of grass every day. Because every day it was just falling on the land. We are changing the plot. No cleaning business. They're just moving on the fresher plot. And that's it. But today, in any arrangement we go, we will smell dung and urine. So smelling dung and urine is sign of mismanagement. But the paradigm says that, wow, I'm the Goshala, it's so nice. This is how we are trained. But it's abusive to these cows. It's abusive to these cows. See that gobar has become a pollutant when not managed holistically. So we can see the heap of dung, the tree has died. It gives too much of heat to that environment. This we read yesterday. All these are already covered. So we become the orchestrators of nature's sequence. So because I suggested in this model to start with planting trees, so that is form of agroforestry. Today they call it agroforestry. So we can plant trees which are like fruit trees, flower trees, which are more useful, and some canopy trees also, which can be helpful for shade, which can be helpful for cows to be eating, like they also eat many leaves. So we have to plan it accordingly. Then land grazing, good animal care, and regenerative agricultural practice. This is what we have to orchestrate. This is what a farmer is. This is what a human being is. This is what we are supposed to be doing to live a simple life with a higher understanding of the system which the Lord gave us. So, it's a summary. This is the last slide. We need to manage a landscape with the realization and understanding that the single function of cows and bulls is to help the landscape's major function to recycle, because they're recycling whatever the land is growing, she eats and put back the dung. So the recycling is happening. Otherwise, the soil, the grass will create oxidation that is very damaging to the environment. To stop that oxidation, we need somebody to recycle the grass. So they are doing it. As each year's production or each day's production as it can. And in the case of recycling, reduce oxidation to the absolute minimum. Retain water at the highest particular potential. And certainly that can only be done by the process of photosynthesis by plants and the act of grazing by the cows. We cannot do it. We can only help the cows to do it. If at the end of the day we have not used the cows to graze and increase the photosynthetic capacity of our landscape, we are wasting our time. So this is what we have to ensure living on the land: photosynthesis and grazing. If this happens, all ecosystem will be fully functional. This is what we are supposed to be working on. That's it. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Yes, very good question. The question is, what is the benefit of giving this impact? So today we see all the soils are so much compacted because of excessive use of chemical fertilizers, tractors, keeping the soil exposed to direct sun, direct water. So all the soils are very compacted. They can't breathe. So to create the aeration, when the hoof impact is given, the soil breaks open. So because we don't want to, initially we can start with using a tractor. If we decide, like first breaking can be done with the tractor for once only and last, once and for last. Then we never do it. Then we don't need to give that impact. But if you want to save that cost of tractor and moving things artificially, then this is the best thing. We can engage them to do that. But the compaction is already there. This impact is to break the compaction. So the water infiltration improves. The seeds can germinate because it is so compacted. So when the rain comes, it's not that easy for the seeds to germinate. So this will help to trigger all those processes. So ideally, this is the best time to start because we have 4 months before monsoon. Now I am talking about our project here. If we start giving this impact on the land, you will be able to cover the entire soil, at least one round by the time, just by crawling. And then we can throw the seeds, whatever you want to grow. And when the monsoon comes, just grows. So what we are cropping now, that can be our crawling land in the monsoon. And where we are not growing today can be our cropping land for the monsoon. We can just switch over the lands also. But it's a decision that has to be arrived at. But why we give this impact is to trigger the process of growth. Yes. Because dung has also a lot of life in it. If the dung falls there, it is having a lot of life in it. Yes, Mataji? I think I will bring it there. Wait a second. I can stop sharing.
Krishna. And also I wanted to know how the cows will drink. They will come back in the same place, or they will we will move the water, or we will make a kund? Or
So ideally, we supply water when the cows are there. This is how we are doing. Because when they are eating, while eating also they need water sometimes. There is no time of eating. So the best facility is to ensure 24-hour access to grass and water.
and is it possible to make a kund for the future that the bird can drink also and we have some water?
Anything, whatever we decide we can do, everything is possible. What is possible? Yeah. ठीक है। इसको बंद कर सकते हो। Yes.
So we know that maybe we could make like this person can like take care of work of like 2 or 3 hours. So like even if we're not living in our house, but we could come up like 2 or 3 hours.
So when to bring the cows, we can discuss after the session, but that is what we have to do now. That is the first step. Yes. And before that, calculating the stocking rate. How many cows to bring? Yeah. I mean, approximately, assuming the growth rate to be 90 days. 90 days.
No, but if we're gonna bring the food on.
Yeah. We have to bring the food, there is no choice. We have to crawl. So because we already have these cows we are serving, so what I suggest is we don't need to calculate the stocking rate now, because it's not that we have to decide to purchase the cows. They are already there, a bigger number is there. So because we want to give a better impact, we can bring more now, and then if the rate is not, we can shift some back. Because stocking rate we will only know after the growing season. It's difficult to find it out. So in what we presented is somebody starting new. So he has land, he's just buying land, and there is a certain number of cows. So he can wait for the first growing season and then derive the exact number. Sorry? Now, yes, that more is better actually. If we can bring all, that is best. Anyhow, if we are feeding them there, we can feed them here. We get a better impact, lot of dung, lot of urine, and then we can shift them back. But it depends on, as I was suggesting, that legal issues also in the last meeting. So it has a connection. So we can discuss in length after the seminar ends.
And what about the trees on the land? And what about the trees on the land when we will start to plant trees? Or
Now, we just have to research the local trees. We have local trees and we can start planting them now. So that's so we know now the steps, just have to start. So till the time our houses are done, some trees will be already germinating. We have to, but now right now we have to water them because The rainfall is still like best time to plant trees is generally just before monsoon. So they get a good water for 2 months, and then even in the winter we get a lot of moisture. So they set in well. This time would be a little struggling to maintain because we are facing summer. So 3 months will be a tough time to maintain them. But still, if we decide like everybody maintaining 5-10 trees, if it is possible, that's individual decision, then we can start. But ideally, just before monsoon is the best time. We can make seedlings in our farm now and maintain them on a small place, and then we can put it on the soil in the time of monsoon. That can be another way to. Yeah, that is a good question. So there are trees that can survive, as we see on that property already. Some trees are growing even without any treatment or taking care of. So, but that requires a lot of research of this area. That which, like in Rajasthan, I think whether somebody shared this video on Simple Living, that how a couple created a forest. There's a line of Rajasthan also. So he researched the locals and they started planting there. And those trees doesn't require a lot of water. They can grow and they bear fruits also, and they are local to that land. So that is the speciality of local things, that it can survive and adapt to that environment. So for that we have to do a study here or resort to some place where. Yeah, nearby farmers. This is how we learn. From the experience of the people living in the areas.
They can suggest better time also.
Yes.
Sometimes we calculate it differently, but those who are actually doing it, the time varies sometimes. So locals will be a great help. Yeah.
Generally, we learn from the landscapers. We bring in all the forest species on our project, and then we keep watering them. Who? On the chat? Does this mean we just follow grazing land by cows and cows will pass their dung and all that process? We should not collect dung. Yes, we don't need to collect dung. Most of the dung should go to the soil. But as we use this dung for cooking or sometimes for some medicinal purpose, or that much amount we can collect. But they give a lot. I mean, if the cows are fed properly, as we read today, 40 to 60 kg of green fodder a day, then the dung production will be at least 10 to 15 kgs a day per cow. And we can't use that much for our medicinal things or cooking purpose. So there is always a lot of excess. Similarly, urine, if they are given proper water, today the process of feeding water is in the morning and in the evening once. This is how it is done generally. In our Goshala, it's good. We have water 24-hour access. So they can keep drinking whenever they want. So we'll get more urine. So yes, but when whatever we need, we can collect. But in general, we don't have to clean. We are saved from the cleaning exercise if we do this. That is the advantage of keeping them on there. And they get a clean environment, most importantly. Our focus is not to save our energy and time, but also to serve them better. The cows are more happy when they are kept in that environment which is more clean and doing their function for the Lord. Yeah, thank you. So we end it here. Thank you all very much for your time.